is this line is optional when you do not intend to debug a plugin, but it is always recommended whenever you are writing a plugin. Just use make use of this object. And the next and the most important part of any plugin that we have seen in theoretical aspect as well, that every plugin should have a context. The context will define the runtime environment. It contains the information related to the event that has been raised in the system, and it also contains the business entity information for which the event has been raised. The top priority for any developer whenever he is writing a plugin is to get the plugin context. So how you can get the plugin context? Again, you can get it from the service provider parameter by using its get service method. So this is again a standard line of code. You can utilize it as it is without making any changes. So the moment you get the context of the plugin, the next step you should be doing is you should check that plugin should not trigger on any other unwanted events. So how you can make sure that the plugin should not trigger on any unwanted events? You can check it via the message name property of the context. So I'm giving you an example. This plugin should trigger on whenever an account is getting created. So in that case, our message will be create. So here we are checking event for which the plugin should trigger. If it is not that event, we are directly returning from here. So in our case, we are whenever the account is getting created, so we are checking the message name property of the context, and that should be the create message. So this is an hard-coded value, and it is not going to change. And from where you can go get all these supported values, supported message names, I will show you. This is the link. I have already kept it on the description field, and you can get it all the supported messages for Dynamics 365 plugins. You can get it from that. And now what we are really interested in getting information is like the business entity information, for which business entity the event has been raised. So how you can get the business entity information and the data associated with that business entity is through the input parameters target key, and the target will contain the business entity related information. So since this is create message, you will get the target of type entity, but in case of delete message, you can get the target of type entity reference. And if both things are satisfied, then the target entity you can retrieve it in any particular entity object. So here we are getting the target business entity related information into an object called entity. And the next line what we are checking is the entity is of which type, which is that entity. Verify the target represent the entity type that you are expecting. So here we are first checking the logical name of that entity, and that should be an account. So from where you can get that logical name? Logical name is nothing but the schema name of a particular entity. So from where you can get the schema name? You just open your Dynamics 365 instance, navigate to settings area, customizations, customize the system, and the moment you click on that, you will see all the components in your default solution. So from that component list, you have these many types of different components. In that, one of the component is entities, and here you can see all the entities found in your Dynamics 365. If you create a new custom entity also, that will be referred in this default solution. Here we are interested in the account entity. You click on account entity, then it will give you the business entity information. So as you can see, entity definition information are found on this page, and this name is nothing but the schema name or the logical name of that entity will be always used in your plugin code whenever you are dealing with the plugin. So with this, what we are making sure that this plugin code will always trigger on the create event. If it is not on the create event, the plugin will The execution will be returning it from here. And the next step, we are checking that it should trigger on the account entity. So if it is not account entity, and if you are just creating a regular contact in your system, then this plugin will not get triggered. So the next step, after you make sure that the plugin is getting triggered on specific event and the required entity, then you need to get the service object. So from where you can get the iOrganization service object? You can get it from the service factory. From where you can get the service factory? In that case, you will get the service factory from the service provider parameter that was passed in the execute method. So yeah, again, this is the standard line of code. Once you get the service factory object from the service provider, now you need to create an organization service object for a particular under a particular user's context in order to make any CRUD operation within your plugin code. You can get the service object by creating an organization service from that service factory under a specific user's context. Any operations that you are going to perform within your custom code will be under this particular user's context. That user context you will be defining at the time of plugin registration. And here your plugin logic will go. This is the standard structure, and you will find so many standard line of code before your actual custom code begins. The next step, in order to deploy a plugin, your class library project should be signed in. How you can sign in the assembly? Go to the project, properties, then go to signing and create sign in the assembly. Choose a name, new, give any meaningful name, and remove this product my file with password. The main important task, you should sign in the assembly. So after signing the assembly, save it, and the next step is to build that project. So once the build process is completed, what you will get is an signed DLL assembly. So now you can see that SNK file is now the build is succeeded. In the bin folder, now you can see the plugins demo DLL. The DLL will be generated with the project name. So this DLL, now you can go and register on the Dynamics 365 server with the help of plugin registration tool that we will see in our next module. That is all about writing a basic plugin. Before you go to writing a detailed complex plugin, just understand the structure part of it. In next video we will see with the help of an example, and I'm going to write the custom code also, how you can write a simple plugin, and then we will eventually move on to the writing complex plugin as well. But just make sure that this is the overall structure of writing a plugin, and I'm again repeating it. Create a type of class library project, add two DLLs in the references that you will find in the SDK folder. After adding those references, create a class into that project, extended class for iPlugin interface that you will find in the xrm.sdk. After extending, you need to implement the execute method of that iPlugin interface that accepts iService provider as a parameter. Then retrieve all the required information from that iService provider, like iPlugin execution context, iTracing service if you are interested in debugging and writing the trace logs, the event information for which the plugin is raised, and the service objects, how you can get the service objects, and then you can begin